live on a beautiful, sunny, and yet another warm Thursday afternoon. Welcome on into the bullpen. I am your host, Adam the Bull, brought to you, of course, by Bet Rivers. You see, no, I'm pointing that's the bullpen with Adam the Bull. That's Bet Rivers. You think I'd be able to do this? There we go. So, a lot to get to today. We got the ticker there on the bottom, giving you the latest lines here from Bet Rivers. The Browns are a 3-point dog to Jacksonville. You can send me messages in the YouTube chat. I see some people sending messages already. Joel says, "What's up, Bull?" "What's up, Joel?" Nikki V. "Needs to be cooler than it is today. I'm ready for fall." That's a fair point. It is gorgeous out, but yes, I would take it 10 degrees cooler. Evan419 says, "Bull, after making his debut on the Ultimate Cleveland Fan Show with Xavier P. Just like them, you could send me a message in the YouTube chat, and I'll read more of your messages coming up later. A lot to get to. Are the Browns trying to get rid of Deshaun Watson? And are the Guardians, do they have it in the bag to win the division? All coming up a little bit later. But we begin coming off the loss against Dallas and now looking ahead to Jacksonville. Spoke with Tony Wiggins today, who covers the Jags, and he knows that team inside and out. And we talked about the fact that both these teams come into this game desperate in a way. Seems kind of crazy to think about that, but both these teams have playoff expectations, and the loser of this game is going to be 0-2. And Jacksonville's in an even tougher spot because the Browns, after this game, play the Giants, who stink, and then they play the Raiders, and then they play the Commanders. So you have, I'm not going to say they're easy because there's no such thing as an easy game in the NFL, but they do have somewhat of a favorable schedule after this game in Jacksonville. On the other hand, Jacksonville, if they fall 0-2, their next three games are at Buffalo, at the Texans, and then the Colts at home. A much tougher weeks 3, 4, and 5. And they basically gave their game away against Miami last week. They were up 17-7 at the half. And then in the third quarter, Jacksonville marched the ball down the field. They were about to go in for a touchdown to go up 24-7. And Travis Etienne fumbles just in front of the goal line. The Dolphins, one play later, I think, hit Tyreek Hill for an 80-yard some-odd touchdown. And that was that. So instead of being, the Jaguars were a few feet away from being up 24-7 in the middle of the third quarter. Instead, it was 17-14 in the middle of the third quarter. And, Miami scored 6 at the end to win it. The final 3 points of the 6 on the Jason Sanders field goal as time expired to win that game. So unlike the Browns, who got smoked in their first game, the Jags gave their game away. So they're as pissed off heading into this week as the Browns are. We'll see who's more pissed off and who uses that as motivation. Obviously, Jacksonville has an advantage being at home. Jacksonville's quarterback played a pretty solid game week 1, unlike Deshaun Watson. I didn't see the game, so you just go by the numbers. They're not great. 12 of 21, 162, and a touchdown. But, yeah, I mentioned I was talking with Tony Wiggins, who covers the Jags, and he said the numbers should have been a lot better than that. Okay, I mean, you watched Deshaun Watson play, the numbers were ugly, and he played worse than his numbers. I think any neutral observer will. Speaking of which, so I don't know, maybe a month ago on the podcast, I don't remember exactly when we had him on, but Greg Cosell, who's been working for NFL Films for forever, Greg Cosell joined me here in the bullpen, and he had some really eye-opening things to say about Jed Wills, you may remember. Obviously, we haven't seen Jed Wills, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so Greg Cosell, for those who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, if you're watching this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast, you know Greg Cosell. You know what he brings to the table. You know he's been a film study guru forever. And what's great about Greg Cosell, as compared to anybody else almost anybody else that I've talked about football with, there's no emotion. Now, if every guest and every talk show host had no emotion while talking about football, we'd put you all to sleep. That'd be boring. So it's not great entertainment all the time. But the insight is unmatched. And so Greg Cosell he's not rooting for Deshaun Watson or rooting against Deshaun Watson or anybody else in the league. He watches the film. He breaks it down from decades of knowledge of understanding what guys are trying to do. And then he gives you the information when you interview him. And when you interview Greg Cosell, you got to ask questions in a specific way because he's not going to answer like, is this guy good? Or, who's better here? Or he doesn't ask, he gives you facts. He doesn't present opinions. He gives you facts. And so I find it very interesting to talk to him once in a while. And I was curious what his thoughts on Deshaun Watson, because sometimes I see a player and I'm saying, that guy sucks or he sucked. And to me, it looked obvious that Deshaun Watson sucked. But I was very curious what Greg Cosell thought. And I knew he's always goes on with Ross Tucker, another guy I've interviewed many times, former NFL offensive lineman. He used to come on Bull and Fox all the time. And I know Ross has him on earlier in the week, so I was hoping, A, that he was going to be on with Ross this week before this live podcast, and that happened, of course. And then I was hoping that Ross would ask him. I figured and hoped that Ross would ask him about Deshaun Watson, and in fact, he did. So let me bring up a quote. This wasn't the entire comment about Deshaun Watson, but you get the gist of it here. This, again, you see it there if you're watching on YouTube. Greg Cosell about Watson from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Quote, he is just not a very good player at all. Not seeing it, stuck in the pocket. He is a difficult watch right now. You know, he went on to say later, if you see the full clip, that he said Deshaun Watson is not playing at a starting NFL quarterback level. Now, you may think that's obvious. I may think that's obvious. But when Greg Cosell says it, it's very eye-opening. Greg Cosell, unlike me and you and most others in this business, does not use hyperbole. This was a big... Now, it may not be done forever, but it does feel like that the combination of this game and the latest accusation and lawsuit involving Deshaun Watson has really moved a lot of people, myself included, from like, there's still a chance, to like, can we just get rid of this guy? Talk about more from that angle in just a little bit. But those were damning comments from Greg Cosell. Now, if Deshaun Watson go out and play well this week, we'll see. But if Greg Cosell's saying he doesn't even look like an NFL quarterback, I mean, it's hard to believe he's going to turn it around in 1 week. Talk about the offensive line. I said I'd mention it. Don't have the practice update yet today. But Jed Wills, as you see there from the Wednesday practice report, did not practice. Jack Conklin and Joel Bitonio are limited. Now, Bitonio being limited is a non-factor. He's limited quite often. He's going to play, most likely. Jack Conklin being limited, that right now, and we'll wait to see the practice report today, but you'd have to think that the fact that Jed Wills is still not practicing at all, and the fact that Conklin is still practicing on just a limited basis, not a great sign at all. All right, we're getting some updates from today's practice. Okay, some good news. Jed Wills returned to practice today, according to Mary Kay Cabot. Jed Wills returned to practice. Other things. Let's see if we got some other updates from Mary Kay today. Jed Wills returned to practice. Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith not on the field in the early portion open to the media. David Njoku's been ruled out for the Jaguars game. Was idle. Browns rookie cornerback Myles Harden on injured reserve for at least 4 games. Placed Myles. That's the 5th Browns player to go on injured reserve, all on defense. They signed linebacker Michael Barrett to the practice squad. So that's the latest there. She doesn't have an update on Jack Conklin, so we'll see if we can get an update on Conklin. I'm sure he practiced today. The fact that Wills practices today is a good update. I don't think that he's going to play. I'd be shocked if he played this week. I'll be surprised if Conklin. Now, Conklin's been practicing for 2 weeks, but he's still limited. That's why I'm curious to see. If he can get in a full practice today, then maybe he's going to play. But it's just hard to believe that Deshaun Watson is going to be able to turn it around with still some issues at the tackle position. Still, obviously, you're without David Njoku, who's by far your best tight end, not only as a pass catcher, but a blocker as well. Okay, here's another update I got from Zach Jackson from The Athletic. Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin both participating in today's full pads practice. Okay, now how much? We'll see, but that's promising. We haven't had a lot of good news since Sunday when it comes to the Browns. It is promising that both Jed and Jack Conklin are practicing. I'll be curious to see when the injury report comes out at some point this afternoon. Are they listed as full or limited? I'd be shocked if Jed is not at least limited. If Conklin can get be listed as a full practice, you got a chance to see him start this week. And again, Zach says that Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith were not practicing. Presumed vet off days there, but we'll find out later. So if between now and the end of the podcast we find out any more, we'll let you know. One other note, having nothing to do with the Browns, Bengals cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt had some not nice things to say about Xavier Worthy before the Bengals play the Chiefs this week. The Bengals are a dumb football team. They have a dumb football coach. They have a brilliant quarterback who didn't play a great game in week 1. But a lot of the rest of the team is stupid. The owner's a dope. He's just botched the Jamar Chase thing. And I'll be a little critical of Jamar Chase. I don't think he handled his hold-in particularly well. If he was going to play, he should have practiced for 2 weeks. And if he doesn't want to practice, then don't play. Cam Taylor-Britt's an idiot. Stop talking. Why would you talk trash? This guy played his first NFL game last week. He looked phenomenal. You're a decent corner. Like, shut up. What an idiot. Let me get a few comments from the YouTube chat. Anise, you should never get too high or too low. It's literally one game. I guess that's fair. Mikey McGee. We'll do Guardians later. I expect the defense to play better against Jacksonville and Jerome Ford to have at least 75, 80 yards rushing with a touchdown. Jacksonville's got a good D-line. I'm expecting the defense to play better as well. They better. Mikey also asked what's going on with Jack Conklin. We just mentioned that. Creative Juice, Sup Bull, chat. What's up, Creative Juice? Nikki V, every national analyst I've listened to are saying Watson is terrible and is cooked. Obviously, there may be some bias against him, but since everyone is saying it, I tend to believe it. Yeah. I'm not ready to say he's cooked yet, but it's not hard to get there. We found somebody that thinks Deshaun Watson played well. Chillaxin, man. That's not obvious that Deshaun didn't play well. That's the stupidest thing I've heard all year. Deshaun played well for how bad the line was. Most quarterbacks would not be even playing this week after taking that kind of beating. Okay. A lot of those sacks were his fault, but you do you. Creative Juice, do you think Jimmy would ever pay Deshaun Watson 4 years, $90 million to just go away? He's got the money, but in my opinion, his ego wouldn't allow that with the blowback he get. If Deshaun Watson stinks this year, they're going to have to do that. You can't. If Deshaun Watson's not any good, you got to move on, and you got to eat your losses, and he's got the money to do it, no doubt. Let's see. Creative Juice. Question, who signed that ancient baseball behind you? Is that the prop ball from the Sandlot? Which one? Let me see. Oh, the ancient one. This one? Is this the one you're talking about? So that that baseball, this is silly, is actually signed by me. That was the baseball. This baseball here is the baseball when I was 13 years old, playing for Kings Bay Little League. It was, senior league or pony league, whatever they're calling it these days. I was 13, and I was on the all-star team for my Little League, and we played another Little League called Garrettson Beach for the Brooklyn Championship. I've told the story before, so maybe you've heard of it. And I hit not a walk-off, but I hit a three-run homer to give us the lead that we held on. A three-run homer to dead center field. I can't even remember running the bases. I was like in La La Land. But yeah, I hit a three-run homer, and that was the baseball right there. I don't even remember who got it for me. I don't know if it was my dad or my mom or I don't even remember, but that was the home run I hit. And I wrote in my sloppy little 13-year-old handwriting, a three-run homer gives Kings Bay the lead to win the Brooklyn. And we won Brooklyn Championship and went on to the state tournament. So that's what that is, Creative Juice. G. Turk, the only investigation that matters for DW4's NFL future is what Lisa Friel determines in her investigation and how it applies to the personal conduct policy. Outcry witness and video could be damning. Yes, obviously, Tony Busby, the lawyer for this Jane Doe, who's the latest accuser. This is way more serious. All the other accusations in the past were about sexual misconduct. This is about rape. Now, it's being talked about as sexual assault, but she's accusing him of rape in this lawsuit. If Deshaun Watson is suspended again, I think his career is over. I don't think there's any doubt about it. The question is, are the Browns the ones well, I shouldn't say it that way. Are the Browns hoping to get out of his contract at this point? And I got to think yes. You know, all of a sudden there's people are making a thing, well, you know, did Jimmy Haslam put out this information? I think that's a little too nefarious, but hey, it down deep, if you're Andrew Berry, if you're Jimmy Haslam, I think that you have to, if the Browns could get out of his contract, I don't think at this point there's any reason they wouldn't. I guess you'd want to see him play a little more this year before you totally jump ship. But between the accusations, the latest accusation, and as badly as he's played, as much as he's been hurt, it would not shock me. It makes sense that the Browns would try to get out of this. And if he's suspended again, they're going to try to get out of it. Because if he's suspended again, I think his career is over. If he plays poorly this year and then gets suspended, that's it. He's done. Which is, I mean, it's just hard to believe. It's easy. There's a lot of people saying now that they saw this coming. And I think that's bullshit. I don't believe it. But, yeah, I mean, it looks like a total disaster. Anise, it's been a long week. I just think there's a bit of overreaction when it comes to the Browns. There's some overreaction. They could turn that around with a good performance. DB Dog, I think Watson has to come out and have a plus 100 QBR to move the needle in a positive direction. He's got to play great for multiple weeks. Play great this week. That will change the attitude of some, no doubt about it. Because let's face it, most people only care about how he plays. Most might not even be fair. It's a good chunk. Creative Juice. Okay, that's awesome. We're so quick to toss out old memorabilia. As someone who's never hit a home run in real life, congrats. Thank you, Creative Juice. Salish. Great fan of UCSS, based in India. Love everything Cleveland sports. Just excited to see all the teams have a decent team in one single year. Well, thanks for joining us here. Joshua Bird, we want him out of Ohio, period. Couldn't care less about mistake on the lake. Proud second-year Bucks fan now, rooting for the guy Cleveland's mentally ill fan base chased out. Well, good for you. You're a shitty fan, Josh. Sorry, buddy. Nobody chased him out. Browns didn't think he was good enough. We'll see if he ever wins a Super Bowl. I doubt it, but he has played well. Give him his credit. But you're a shitty fan there, Josh. You're not really a Bucks fan. Vintage. Don't be surprised if superstars start to request a trade from this team. Yeah, anything's possible. Ricardo Nieves. Hi, Bull. How many starts would you give Deshaun Watson if he keeps this level of play? 4? I'd give him 4 or 5. If this level of play is completely unacceptable. Chillaxin, man, Cleveland fans love quarterback controversy. Why would the Browns pay this guy that much money and then want him out? Because they paid him when they thought he was going to be good, and he's been shit. Nobody wants a quarterback controversy. Nobody. The fans don't want it. Despite your accusations, the media doesn't want it. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. When the Browns win and the Browns are good, it's good for business in the media. Here. Better for me, personally. Better for my career if the Browns are good. So why would I want quarterback controversy? Clara, if someone wants something, then it will get out. This case is more egregious. I believe he will be suspended. Browns that have a right to end the contract. I feel for the fans. It sucks. This all is terrible. There's a decent chance he's going to get suspended at some point. Buckeye Bob, Watson might suck, but at least we don't have a child in the room. Hey, listen, fair to take shots. Baker Mayfield sucked his last year in Cleveland. He sucked his first year out of Cleveland, but he played well last year, very well. And his first game this year was excellent. Joshua says you all deserve, myself included, the misery. Gary Matthews Jr., hey, Bull, it's your FedEx delivery guy. Question, do you have any faith still in Watson? I don't. I've lost it. Hello, Albert. Luis, sorry. Browns are getting out of this fully guaranteed contract. It was a bad business move. It comes with consequences. Oh, they aren't getting. They might not. But they're going to try, I bet. Buckeye Bob, maybe we could trade Watson and 3 future ones to Tampa for Baker. Bob is feeling himself now. I do think it's funny from the Baker bros that every time for the last few years, every time I brought up Baker, can we stop with Baker? Why you keep bringing up Baker, Bull? Now the Baker bros are back in full force wanting to bring up Baker. Okay, just remember that. We got to take it right now. The people that wanted Baker out, we got to take it. But if Baker sucks this week, I'm ripping him. Anise, do you think Watson can at least be average? How sad is that? That we're trying to hope he's going to be average. It's pitiful. Can he? And that my first thought is no. But yeah, I think he can at least be average. I'll still hold out hope that Deshaun Watson could still be average. It's pathetically sad that that's the bar right now, but yeah, I have no hope he's going to be an elite player again. None. I have at least a little bit of hope that he could. I was going to say still be an average player. He's never been an average player. He was great in Houston. He's been shit here. So no, I'm not holding out hope for that. Or it would be a first time. Spencer Grace, I think this week will look much clearer, and it has to. Luis, it's too early to do victory laps on Baker. I think the Browns have to draft Ewers. And listen, if the Browns suck this year and he sucks, you got to draft a quarterback next year. Can't do this again. I don't care. I know he's going to make a lot of money, but the rookie's not going to make any money. So, yes, Anise, we should, yes. If you're looking at mock drafts, I know there's been some mock drafts out already that have the Browns taking a quarterback. Will they be bad enough? I don't want them to be bad enough to get a good quarterback, though. That's the problem. But if they are, if the Browns end up having just a really shitty season, they've got to think quarterback, 100%. Browns are going to try to get. I mean, again, it could all turn around. He might play. If he plays well against Jacksonville, you play a bad Giants team after that, a bad Raiders team, a bad Commanders team. This could look very different. If he plays at an adequate level the next 4 weeks, we'll be thinking completely differently, and this will be a silly conversation. Scott, I can't believe he forgot how to be a good quarterback. He needs time and reps. Scott, he hasn't been a good quarterback since 2020. It's been a while. How long do we have to wait? I said give him 5 starts here. If he can't at least get to average, then you got to make a change. I'm not asking him to be great. I'm asking him, can you be league average for the next 4 weeks? Can we look at you and say, yeah, he played a decent game, solid game? That's what we hoped with Baker. Baker's not great. He played a great game this week. Baker was an average quarterback that threw too many picks when he was here. That's why it wasn't good enough. Since he's been in Tampa, he's been better than that. He's been above average, and he's not throwing as many picks. But I would take what Baker did here right now, even with the turnovers. Now, Baker couldn't make a clutch play in the fourth quarter or against a good team to save his life, but we'll see. Baker's great at putting up numbers against shitty teams, with few exceptions. This week they're playing Detroit. Let's see how well he plays. DB Ohio, 5 starts seems very fair. Minimum needs to go 3-2. DB Dog, my only pause is if Rusty knew what was in the suite, in his suit 11 months ago when Busby said he first presented it, they would have settled to prevent it going public, I guess. Worst comes to worst, how many games can we win Winston? 7, 8 maybe? I mean, could they be a 500 team around 500 Winston? Probably. It depends what kind of quarterback he is. The guy was a gunslinger, threw way too many picks, and in New Orleans he seemed like just a nothing there. I don't know if he still has that magic in his arm either. So there you go. All right, we had a couple of baseball questions. I'll get to that real quick. Mikey says, Guardians do have the division locked up, but we can't play down the competition. It's not locked up. They're in great shape, but it's not locked up yet. There was one other. Spencer says, the Guardians are back on track. At least excited to watch them until the Browns on Sunday. Yeah, the Guardians are great shape right now. They are 4.5 games up on Kansas City and 5 games in the loss column. They're 6 up on Minnesota. They have 16 games to go. 13 are at home, where they're 18 games over 500. The only road games are against a bad Cardinals team, or I shouldn't say bad, a mediocre Cardinals team. So they're in a great position to be able to put away the division fairly soon. I think they'll be able to do that. All right. A lot of people watching today, so I really appreciate you all joining me. Thanks for sending all the chat messages there. Guardians are minus 148. They have 4 games against the Rays starting tonight. Then they'll play the Twins, try to put them away next week. So you got 8-game homestand, 4 with the Rays, 4 with the Twins. Then they go to St. Louis for 3, then an off day, then 2 at home against Cincinnati, then another off day, and then they wrap up the season with 3 at home against Houston. And then it's playoff time. The Guardians are the 2 seed right now. They're tied with the Yankees. Yankees have the tiebreaker. They want to be the 1 or the 2. They very likely will be. You get a bye in the first round and home field. Unless you play the 1 if you're the 2. All right, thanks, everybody, for joining me. Thanks to Z and Max for producing. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And thanks to all for all the comments in the YouTube chat. Thank you, Creative Juice. Go Guards, go Bills, Creative Juice. That's right. I forgot you're a Bills guy. Will baseball ever have a knuckleballer again, Jay? Yeah, I bet you we will. Who do you have winning Thursday night football? Yeah, I should give you that. The Bills are plus 2.5. Let me look and see if that's what we've got at Bet Rivers. Folks, if you're not using the Bet Rivers app to make your bets, you're making a huge mistake. Bet Rivers app is awesome. Here's the latest odds on the Bet Rivers app. Bills are getting 2.5 in Miami, yeah. Plus 120 on the win line. The over-under is 48.5. I like the Dolphins in this one at home. I'm going to lay the 2.5. I think the Bills have had the Dolphins number. I like the Dolphins to win by 3. I like the over in the game. So that's what I'm picking tonight. Dolphins and the over. Good luck. I did hit my baseball parlay. Hopefully you were with me on Tuesday. I hit the baseball parlay. I'll have another baseball parlay tomorrow. I'll have 5 NFL games for you, including the Browns on Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll be doing a post game again. I'll be on a little later, not right after the game, probably closer to the game, probably end just after 4. I'll probably be on closer to 5. But I will be on soon after the game on Sunday. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See ya.